So, when I graduated university, I was honored to win a research trip to Sri Lanka to study wildlife conservation of humans and elephants and to help mitigate the conflict between these two. I was able to see one of the world's largest gatherings of Asian elephants, where hundreds of elephants come together in Caudula National Park. In 2018, the sad reality that I witnessed is that for every elephant that I saw here, there were twice as many jeeps full of tourists coming to witness this annual migration. It was here that it really dawned on me that as a foreigner in this place, that I was contributing to the destruction of their environment in this seemingly innocent presence. I was part of this problem. To be clear, we have seen progress somewhat. These were free elephants in Caudula National Park, rather than those coerced into labor. When I was in Elephant Nature Park, I heard the story of a strong matriarch elephant named Jokia, who was forced to work in the logging industry for half of her life. One day, while Jokia was pregnant and carrying logs up a mountainside, her water broke. Jokia had to give birth, and as the elephant fell down behind her, she crushed it with the logs that she was forced to carry. Jokia was extremely emotionally and physically affected by this event, and she protests continuing to work. In retaliation, her owners blinded her in both eyes. When Lek Chai Let, the founder of Elephant Nature Park, saw Jokia at this logging facility, she saw that Jokia was using her trunk to feel the ground around her. And she was always crying whenever Lek had visited. And so she worked to rescue Jokia from this and bring her to the sanctuary. When I visited this sanctuary in 2013, I found out that Jokia had just one best friend named Maypram, who took care of Jokia, who always led Jokia around with her trunk and looked out for her. Jokia struggles to adapt to joining the other elephants here, while most elephants do join the herd because Jokia suffers from extreme PTSD. Her best friend, Maypram, died a few years ago. What started as a high school project has become my lifelong mission to understand the ecological value and importance of why we need to protect elephants. I've spent 10 years traveling around the world doing research into elephant conservation, and this materialized into my short film, my award-winning documentary, Humans and Elephants. I'm very passionate about elephant conservation, and I received the title of Elephant Ambassador by Save Elephant Foundation. I want to help people understand the importance of why we need to protect this species and why they're so important. There are only 400,000 African elephants left today, and research from Our World and data has revealed that their numbers have decreased by an estimated 96% in the last 100 years. There are only 40,000 Asian elephants remaining, and their number has decreased by 50% in the last 75 years. This issue isn't isolated to elephants, of course, as an endangered species, but elephants are critical to the health of their habitat, from Asian islands to forests to African savannas and jungles. In 1994, Clive Jones published groundbreaking research that elephants, along with other species like earthworms, prairie dogs, and mole rats, are ecosystem engineers, meaning that they're critical to the health of their environment. WWF and National Geographic have since proved this research that elephants can be considered a keystone species. For example, some tree species need their seeds to pass through the digestive tract of elephants before they can germinate in the soil. Yet, as industrial expansion and agricultural demand increase, we're seeing not just elephants, but many wild species lose their habitat. And so this is becoming a really important issue because we're seeing an increase in human and elephant conflict. The greatest threat to African elephants today is illegal poaching and the ivory trade. The greatest threat to Asian elephants today is agricultural expansion. Humans are killing elephants because they're raiding their crops, and elephants are trampling humans out of fear. This chart shows you that in Sri Lanka alone, elephant deaths have gone from 30 to over 400, a nearly 2,000% increase in over 30 years. Wildlife tourism is an increasingly important part of our global economy, though. We need to visit places, and when we do, it helps expand our understanding of different cultures. And wildlife tourism is a really important part of that, especially in places in the global south that have rich environments and are rich in terms of their biodiversity. So it's this conflict of interest that I really want us to understand, and I hope can help our collective compassion and really help us to think critically next time we're considering visiting a lion safari, riding elephants, or going whale watching. This is not to say that all wildlife tourism is bad. It does play an important role. I love to travel, big travel guy, but I'm consciously aware when I travel about whether or not my actions are going to help or hurt animal conservation and what that will have as an impact on the environment of the places that I visit. It's important that we choose places that genuinely care for the well-being of wildlife as we travel. But animal tourism often has unintended consequences, and we often don't know what that impact is as we travel and whether the places we're going are helping or harming the wildlife that we see. Riding elephants, for instance, may seem harmless, but it can actually have major implications that can reduce an elephant's lifespan by half. Carol Buckley, who's the president of Elephant Aid International, has identified that elephants have sharp bony protrusions on their spine, and these bones are particularly vulnerable to riding elephants, and that is why it can actually reduce their lifespan. And in 2016, an elephant collapsed under the weight of 2 tourists riding on its back in Cambodia and died. Elephants have a sophisticated sense of self-identity and self-expression. When we look at the most intelligent species on Earth, we find that elephants, bottlenose dolphins, pigs, chimpanzees, and of course humans are all social in nature. When we look at pigs in the Bahamas, we see that they love to play and swim and enjoy time in the water. When we see bottlenose dolphins, we've identified that they will swim in large families. And dolphins, interestingly, have their own unique whistle that they give themselves. And no 2 dolphins' whistles are alike. Pretty impressive because I don't know how to whistle. African elephants, this subspecies, communicates through low rumbles through their feet, and these rumbles are inaudible to the human ear. And so they're able to communicate over vast distances in the savanna, unlike Asian elephants that rather rely on trumpets, chirps, and squeaks to communicate in mountainous regions and jungle areas over shorter distances. Many animals, of course, mourn their dead. Elephants, ravens, pigs, and donkeys have all been shown to mourn deceased family members. Elephants, for instance, have been found that when they find a deceased family member and a piece of this ivory, they will stand in a circle around that dead animal, and they will pick up a piece of that ivory, and they'll hold it close to themselves, and they pass it around one by one, each taking a moment to hold that ivory. And when researchers identified this behavior and listened for any rumble, they found that these elephants were completely silent. Now, can you imagine the value that they must put on their ivory? A true appreciation of elephants and the importance of respecting them and their significance does not stop at just acknowledging their understanding of intelligence and their experience of suffering. Your action can become real if you put it into practice. For example, Elephant Nature Park has been running a saddle-off program where they work to help educate both local tour operators and tourists on the importance of why we should avoid riding elephants. And through the saddle-off program, they've realized that they can't possibly protect all elephants within the grounds of their sanctuary, but they can improve the well-being across Thailand of all working elephants. And so through this saddle-off program, in less than 10 years, they've been able to run over 30 saddle-off projects and helped over 200 elephants live a better life. Now that is amazing. Community-based natural resource management, CBNRM, is one clear and effective way in which we can find sustainable change through traveling and through helping develop better solutions to protect wildlife as we go. And there are sustainable and eco-friendly solutions out there, and I believe every one of us is capable of finding them. So I would challenge you to look, when you travel, to look for Google reviews, TripAdvisor, look for independent resources and analysis of the places you're traveling with to ensure that you're doing the right thing and you're supporting organizations that are creating a sustainable difference. One really effective application of community natural resource management in action is planting trees. We all know that planting trees is beneficial to fight climate change through sequestering carbon and also providing habitats for wildlife. But did you know that elephants also love trees? Elephants often eat the bark of trees because it helps their digestion and is an easy food source for them. The problem is, of course, that they're often pushing over these trees or damaging it by exposing its underbark. So planting trees is a very easy and effective solution for helping elephants and providing food for them. Trees also serve a different purpose. They can help reduce the conflict between humans and elephants. The Sri Lankan Wildlife Conservation Society identified that planting citrus trees, particularly orange and lemon trees, acts as a natural deterrent for elephants to stay out of farms. They are repulsed by the smell of citrus, and this experiment has become an international success, and it's been adopted widely across both Asia and Africa. Chili peppers have also been shown to have a similar effect as well at keeping elephants outside of farms. So, why should you care about elephants, and how does this impact our legacy as humans? Well, for many of us, when we travel, it ignites a new sense of nature. We're stepping outside of our comfort zone, and we're seeing animals and plants and trees that are distinct and different to what we normally know, right? And we see unfamiliar places, and it connects us again with new cultures and new people. The problem is when we go to places where this wildlife is being used in unethical captivity. So I don't believe that we need to avoid seeing wildlife when we travel. I think it plays a really important part in terms of long-term sustainable growth and helping our own understanding of what it means to be human and what is the importance of wildlife and animals, particularly elephants. And it can also contribute to sustainable development. Instead, we need to focus our efforts when we travel on helping find and looking for sustainable solutions within our sphere of access and within what we can control. So, I have 3 simple asks for you today to take away from my talk. The first ask is that respect wildlife. When you're traveling next time, be sure to give wildlife some space, even if that means sacrificing that perfect Instagram shot that you thought you might get. Just give wildlife some space. It's the best and easiest thing you can do. The second thing that I would ask of you is that you do research. You come to things like this TED Talk and you look online and you learn, you listen to podcasts, read about this subject, but it sounds simple, but it really is. Just literally applying your own basic time and attention to trying to do the right thing. And the third ask that I would have for you is to fund conservation efforts, whether you're giving donations to organizations both in your home country or internationally for organizations or for causes you care about. All organizations need that extra bit, especially in the wildlife conservation, and your donation will help make a difference. And if you can't donate, then while you travel, look for those ecotourism opportunities. There's so much that can be done to help wildlife, and I believe that all of us are capable of making a change for the better. Can you believe and imagine that around 60% of all mammals that are alive today are livestock, meaning cattle, pigs, and other domesticated animals are by far the majority? Just 4% of all mammals on Earth today are wild. African elephants alone account for 15% of that 4% total biomass. Don't get me wrong, today the world is much better. Less elephants are forced into coerced labor. But today the world is awful. Jokia's story is still very much a reality for so many elephants out there. Tomorrow, the world could be much better. Don't you think that we owe it to your children and our future generations to help protect the last amount of wild species that we have left on this earth today? Can you really imagine a world without elephants? A world without any wildlife? Thank you.